Governments all over the globe trust Appian to solve their most difficult mission-critical problems. In the United States alone, Appian operates in all 15 cabinet-level agencies in 17 states. Let's find out why Appian is the trusted platform for the U.S. government and look at some examples. Hi, I'm Jade Heilemann. I'm a Partner Solutions Consultant here at Appian, and I support the U.S. public sector. In today's video, let's talk about how Appian supports all federal cabinet-level agencies and state and local governments. We'll cover today some common obstacles that government agencies face at a high level, key capabilities and pre-built integrations that you can leverage and that government customers leverage very commonly, and then we'll cover some customer use cases. This video is brought to you by the Appian Community YouTube channel. For more videos and learning resources, check out the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos just like this one. So first, let's take a look at some common obstacles government organizations face with their current technology. Some of those common examples are siloed data in outdated systems, manual tasks like data entry, faxing in some cases, emails, reviews, which often leads to long processing times and data integrity issues. They also face a lot of regulation constraints and poor governance of new technology initiatives. In fact, according to Gartner, fixed siloed operational approaches prevent governments from staying flexible and meeting demands, and more than 50% of governments that undertake new enterprise application initiatives will fail because of poor governance. And these are pretty meaty problems to solve, and they prevent the government from providing life-changing resources and services to citizens. So why does a government choose Appian to help? It turns out that Appian is well positioned to solve these common challenges that governments face, which is why they trust us time and time again, and why the public sector is Appian's top industry. Let's go over some key capabilities and features of Appian to explore how we can solve these common challenges and provide value above and beyond what government agencies request. First is Appian's capability of data fabric to connect modern systems, legacy systems, agency-specific systems, and service data into a unified screen to gain insight and take action without needing to migrate any of that data. Next, we have process automation. So work is routed to the appropriate person with reminders to keep work on track and to meet deadlines. Third, Appian has a lot of robust AI capabilities to enhance decision-making and free up time for more important tasks by completing menial work such as document summarization, that kind of thing, also helping with predictive tasks as well. Next, we have Appian's business rules, which check against new regulation and ensures data integrity to better decision-making and avoid fines. And the last feature that allows Appian to help with these government agencies and their common problems is low code, which makes applications much easier to use and maintain so new initiatives can be successfully implemented. And siloed data is the biggest challenge that government organizations face, which makes data fabric and Appian's ability to integrate with other systems a key feature to create Appian applications. Here is a very abridged list of the integrations that are pre-built or frequently used. There are some specialized integrations that are relevant for public sector, like sam.gov, which is important in acquisitions use cases, which we'll talk a little bit about later on in this video. But a lot of these integrations you'll notice are universal across the board, like ERPs and other databases. So it's not just specific to the government, but a lot of these are common across several industries. Now that we've talked about some common challenges in the public sector and the features that Appian has to address them, let's take a look at 3 use cases that are very common and impactful in public sector. And I do want to point out that while the use cases that we're going to cover in today's video are far from the only use cases that are relevant in the public sector, they're very prevalent ones, which will give you a good idea of what's possible. First, we have acquisitions. Appian helps government agencies streamline and automate their acquisition and procurement processes, enabling faster contract awards, improved compliance, and reduced administrative burden through standardized workflows and integrated document management. For example, the USDA Forest Service uses Appian to track forest fire incidents and allocate firefighting resources as fires occur, in addition to collaborating with vendors to create and approve invoices and manually approve vendors and resources as fires raged. This slowdown posed significant risk to citizens in affected areas, and Appian is helping to speed up that process and fight fires more efficiently and quickly. The second use case I want to cover for today is grant management. Governments need a way to manage the financial awards given out to fund specific initiatives, projects, programs, research. This is what we consider a grant. Appian's grant management capabilities enable organizations to streamline the entire grants monitoring and reporting lifecycle and workflow to ensure regulatory compliance and provide real-time visibility into the grant status and performance. For example, to support first-time home buyers, the California Housing Finance Agency granted money to eligible people to buy their first home in the state. The agency needed to manage submitted applications, eligibility reviews, lottery selection, and the purchasing of homes for first-time home buyers, all of which was able to be managed within Appian. The final use case I want to cover for today is the agility layer. Government agencies own many disparate systems to manage all of their data and activities. This often leads to users experiencing a swivel chair effect, where they have to spend precious time logging into several systems, all to get just one task done. And this is better spent on more meaningful work and more meaningful tasks. Oftentimes, these systems are better used as a record storage system than a system to manage all of this work and all of these tasks. Appian can connect these systems of record and provide a system of engagement, or a layer of agility, on top of them that is more intuitive and purpose-built for users to interact with and get work done. An example of the agility layer that I want to talk about is with the Army. So the Army used 5 ERP systems to manage all of their assets in every stage of its life cycle, from deployment, sustainment, return, and maintenance. It was very difficult to use and had to be heavily customized to meet all of the Army's needs, and at that, it didn't meet all of them. Appian is able to sit on top of all of these ERP systems and any auxiliary systems to provide intuitive user experiences that make daily work much smoother and improve auditability across systems, which is super helpful because the Army has missed a couple deadlines, and Appian helps keep them on track with the robust business rules that I mentioned earlier. This is a great use case for Appian since we can leverage our data fabric, low-code designer, and workflow automation tools at every step. Now that we've talked about these 3 use cases in Appian, let's see it in action. In particular, let's take a look at an example of Appian acting as an agility layer for onboarding new suppliers to a supply chain. We'll start with the supplier experience submitting an onboarding request, and then we'll see a supply chain manager handle those onboarding requests and manage already onboarded suppliers. So starting as the supplier who wants to be onboarded. First, the supplier goes to a public portal, which is what we're seeing now. This allows unauthenticated users to start processes without having to create an account or email back and forth with supply chain managers to actually start this process. And when I scroll down to begin onboarding, I met with a wizard-style form that provides a more streamlined way for me as a supplier to input this information and get that to the supply chain manager. And it's complete with validations and automated workflow routing on the back end to make sure that this gets to the right person and all of the data that's within it is correct and gets written to the proper place. As a developer, portals can quickly be developed and deployed in Appian Designer. You can also embed links and forms into your portals to kick off these processes. I'm not going to go through the whole process of submitting a form as a supplier for the sake of time, but I am going to switch over into the supply chain manager view, where I can see my whole dashboard that helps me as a supply chain manager manage all of these suppliers and all of the purchase orders and products that is under my purview. And particularly some things that I want to call out on this dashboard. First, Appian's capability of data fabric. So as you can notice on the screen, this data can be coming from anywhere. In this case, it's coming from a particular ERP that we've connected with, that we've integrated with. And when I scroll down, I can see my inbox with some messages that's being connected and brought in from Outlook. So again, this really speaks to Appian's data fabric, where we can connect to all these different systems, surface the data into one place where I, as a supply chain manager or as a user, can look at it all holistically and then take action on it. The other thing I want to point out is how we're able to build these dashboards. So of course you can use Appian's low-code drag and drop interface designer. I also want to call out these KPIs and other reusable components. So we can just build one once and then leverage it in several different ways to speed up the time to development. Another thing I want to call out on this dashboard is how we're able to embed AI. So under this suppliers heading, I can see an AI smart alert that is being generated, which is alerting me to a shortage in ignition coils for suppliers. And then I see a little summary of why this should be brought to my attention. This is super useful because as a supply chain manager, I might not be able to see very quickly this need for this particular part. But with AI and all of this data that's being connected into Appian, we can create these alerts to help me and my day and streamline my workflow and make sure that I'm preempting potential delays and potential risks to, at the end of the day, make sure that the supply chain runs very smoothly. So for today, as a supply chain manager, I'm going to go ahead and look at my onboarding requests. And particularly, I see this compliance check from this supplier. I can go ahead and review it. And then I'm brought to this form with all of the information that I need to make my decision on whether or not to approve or deny this supplier's onboarding request. So instead of having to log into several different systems, I can use these forms and use these tasks with Appian's automated routing to create these views that are really impactful for me as an end user. And when I scroll down, I can see this AI summary for documents that have been submitted with this request, so I can quickly skim through it and make my decision. And at the end of the day, I want to approve this, so let's go ahead and click approve. And once I do, I'm met with this screen where I can see and be assured that this data is being written back to my ERP, my system of record. So as a supply chain manager, I don't have to go into this other system and do that myself and potentially run the risk of making errors as I key in information. It's all done automatically thanks to Appian's data fabric and process automation capabilities. And after a little bit, I see this success message and I can again be assured that this information has been written to my ERP. And I can even go in to that ERP and double check and make sure that everything looks good to have that extra layer of security. Or I can have that information come up like it does here. When I click next, I can see this information that was written back and I can visually make sure that it looks correct. And then I can press close here. And then I'm going to be brought back to my dashboard, where I can continue to work on anything else, or for example, I can drill into one of these suppliers and take a look at how they're doing. When I do so, I'm met with another high impact screen where I can see all of this different data and different information presented to me in a really cohesive and streamlined way. And for example, I can see these KPIs in the top, and I can see that this supplier happens to have a delayed purchase order. So as a supply chain manager, I can drill in deeper and start to do some investigations on why this might be the case. Or when I scroll down, I notice that I have the AI Knowledge Assistant here, which is our records chat capability, where I can begin to ask questions and potentially get to the bottom of why this supplier has a delayed delivery. So that's everything that I wanted to highlight today during today's demo. We saw how Appian is able to manage the supplier onboarding process by seeing two different personas. First, the supplier who wants to be onboarded, and then the supply chain manager who manages those onboarding requests and manages all the suppliers and their purchase orders. Some of the features that we highlighted in today's demo are portals, dashboards, especially highlighting data fabric and integrations. We also saw a couple ways that Appian is able to integrate AI throughout our applications and throughout our process. And we also saw total experience and some great UI UX that allows development to be sped up and components to be reused. And some of the value takeaways that I want to highlight as well. First, better data integrity and data management. Because Appian is acting as this agility layer on top of disparate systems, as a user, I don't have to go back and forth and manually key in data. I can be assured that Appian is automatically writing all of that information and it's correct, especially with those robust data validations that we saw in the portal. We also saw a very streamlined user experience. As a supply chain manager, I can manage all of my daily operations just within Appian, just within this screen. I don't have to go into Outlook, I don't have to go into my ERPs or any other auxiliary systems. All of that information is brought into one application for me to get my work done faster. And I'm even being prompted with different tasks and different KPIs as well. And to that end, we saw a lot of different automated tasks to also reduce my administrative burden. And because all of this information is done within one system, within Appian, it allows for easier auditability because it's able to all be tracked and logged very efficiently. And for developers, we highlighted a couple ways that Appian allows for easy development with reusable components to make these applications possible and developed very quickly. So let's recap. In the public sector, especially the US public sector, is Appian's largest supported customer. Some common challenges in the public sector are siloed data, manual tasks, which lead to long processing times and data integrity issues, regulation constraints, and poor governance of new technology investments. Appian is great at solving these kinds of challenges thanks to our features of data fabric, process automation, AI, business rules, and our low-code development platform. In particular, data fabric and integrations are key. Common integrations include those to ERPs, databases like Postgres, and some public sector specific databases as well. Many of these integrations are out of the box when you sign up for Appian and on our app market, and other ones can be created very quickly and easily with our connected systems and web APIs. For your next application, consider one of the common public sector use cases of grant management, acquisitions, or agility layer. Thank you so much for watching. Keep an eye out on this channel for more use case videos in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.